Daf Mem Tes Amud Beis, the second line from the top. The Gemara just concluded previously that even the skins of an uman, they're also not considered muksa. They're not muksa. We said in the Mishnah, Taimin b'shalach and metal tanaisa, that you can insulate, can be taimin with the skins of the animal. And metal tanaisa, it's not muksa. The Gemara had a shaila, are we talking about dafka v'balabayas? But if an uman, since he uses it, he's going to sell them, maybe he's makbid, and he does not want them to be used. Normally, where a balabayas, he would use the skins for use it to lean on, to rest on, to sit on, to use it as a mat. But perhaps the uman, since he's going to sell it, he's makbid, and therefore he would not allow it to be used for other uses, and therefore it should be muksa. So the Gemara's conclusion was that Rav Chanina bar Chama said in the Rishmal of Yesi, he said that Abba was a shlacha, he was an uman, he used to sell these skins, and he said, and he said, bring it so we can sit on him, so you see that it's not muksa. That even the oiris of an uman is not muksa. Mesefek the Gemara, what do you mean? It says, Nisorim, the Brisa says, Misorim Shabalabayas, if you have boards of a balabayas, so he uses it for his personal use, he's not selling them, metal tanoisa, they are not muksa, you can use it as a bench. Vishal uman ein metal tanoisan, but an uman who sells them, they're muksa, because he's makbid, he doesn't want them to get warped, to get ruined, to get nicked, so therefore they're muksa ein metal tanoisan. But if he wants to use it, for instance, as a table, to put on bread for orchin, benkach u benkach metaltalin, there, in any event, it would be mutter, it's not muksa. But you see, otherwise, without a special machshava, then you see that it would be muksa if it belongs to an uman. The Gemara, shiny Nesarim, the kapit alayu. Nesarim, he's more makpid, they are more easily damaged, they can more easily get warped. So therefore we say the uman without a special machshava, they would be muksa, without a designation be muksa. But shalachim, the skins are not that sensitive, they're not that delicate, and therefore they would not be muksa. Even without a special machshava, they are not muksa. Tashma ayra is the skins, bein avudim, bein shein avudim, mutala talpum b'shabbos, whether they are finished the processing of it or not, whether they're avudim or not, whether they're treated or not, they're mutal talpum b'shabbos, they're not muksa because they can be used as a mat. Lo yamra avudim, this chilek, the difference whether they're avudim or not, elo linyan tuma b'lvad, it's only a chilek l'gabei tuma. To bear something to mekabel tuma, the processing has to be finished. So if they're not treated yet, then the processing is not finished. It's not a gemar kli, it's not mekabel tuma. But that chiluk of avudim or not is only l'gabei tuma, but l'gabei muksa, there's no chiluk. My love, loishna shabalabayis, loishna shal uman. Don't you see that there's no difference whether it is whether a balabayis or an uman? So you see that it is not muksa, even an uman is not muksa. Well, so no, you can't bring a proof from here. Loisha balabayis. We're only talking about the oiras of a balabayis. Shal uman mai, but what are you suggesting, that by an uman mai in metaltan is muksa, you can't be metaltan? If that's the case, hadetani lo yamra avudim elinyan tuma bilvad. If that's the case, then why does the Brisa then say there's no chilik? Is only linyan avudim, is only linyan tuma? The only chilik that it seems to be able to find is legabi tuma. Liflik v'lisnei b'dida. Why do we jump to tuma? Even by muksa you have a chilik. And say, Bamed Varmamur Mishal Balabayis, that this is only the case of the oiras belong to a Balabayis. Aval Bishal Uman Loi, but by an Uman you cannot be metaltal, it's muksa. If you're telling me that there is a chiluk legabi muksa, that by an Uman it's muksa, why does the Brisa jump to another case, to a case of Tuma to find the chiluk? You have a chiluk legabi muksa as well, that an uman is not, you can't be metaltal, is muksa, it's only balabayas and it's mutar letaltal. More answers, but balabayas kamayre. We're talking about the oiras of balabayas. By the oiras of balabayas, there's no chilek whether it's avudim or not avudim. The only chilek is legabe tuma. But legabe muksa, there's no chilek. This is the case that we're dealing with. Let us say that this is a machlokes tanoim. Ketanoi oyer shebalabais metaltan oisan v'shal uman ein metaltan oisan. So the Tanna Kama says clearly that shal uman is muksa, you cannot be metalt. Rav Yosi Aimer echad zeh ve'echad zeh metaltan oisan. Rav Yosi says even by an uman you can be metaltan. There's no chiluk echad zeh ve'echad zeh. 100 Yosef becoming bailu, and they said they had another child. The Mishnah in Klagol says that the total amount of malachas are 39. There's 39 avos malachas, and this is relevant. The number is relevant as well, because that is the max amount of chatois that a person can be chayv b'helam echad in one forgetting. If he does these 39 avos, he forgot that they were also, and just 39, he can be chayv a maximum of 39 chatois b'helam echad. These 39, there are 39 major categories of malachas. Kineged me, what is it corresponding to? Where does the number 39, where does it correspond to? You said the different avodas they did in the Mishkan, the different avodas they did in the Mishkan to build a Mishkan, the different avodas that they had to do. And as Rashi says, the Parsha Shabbos is Nismcha, the Parsha's Malachas Mishkan, to tell you that those malachas, those avodas that they did in the Mishkan, but on Shabbos, you cannot be done on Shabbos. So these are the things that are also on Shabbos. He says it's keneged the number of times that it says the word malacha, or a derivation of a derivative of the word malacha, how many times that it is said in the Torah. As we'll see in the Gemara, it's not clear because there are more than 39 times that it says malacha, or a derivative of malacha. But the question is, some are counted and some are not counted. It's not perfectly clear which ones are put into the cheshbon and which ones are not. But in general terms, there is malacha 39 times, and it's keneged that. Taisus Maskana seems to be that it's a genuine machlokes. One says is that it's keneged the malachas of the Mishkan, and one says it's keneged malacha. The difficulty with that is that if it's keneged malacha, fine, there are 39 malacha, but how do you define malacha? What is the definition of a malacha? We still have to know what a malacha is. There may be 39, but what is a malacha? So the Ramban learns is that everyone agrees that the definition of a malacha is what is written in the Mishkan, as what was done for the Mishkan, what was done for the building of the Mishkan. That is what the definition of a malacha is. The Wan Damla says we learn out from malacha, however, he says that we have this limud to tell us that there are 39 and don't include other things. There's a maximum of 39, and it's only what's in the Mishkan. There are only 39. There are not more than that. Now, once we have 39, we learn it, what the definition of a malacha is, what was done for the building of the Mishkan. Taisus mentions as well that the number is very significant because otherwise one would not necessarily say that, for instance, Zohar, Boira, or Marakid, they're considered separate avos. They're very similar to each other. Or you're winnowing, or whether you're separating, you're sifting, they're all very similar malachas. If we did not have the number, an absolute number, we wouldn't necessarily, Minasvora, consider them separate avos. And therefore, you wouldn't necessarily say that they're separate chatois. So the number is very significant, and therefore, we have to know, how do we know that these are all separate avos? So one approach is that we know it from this was done in the Mishkan, whatever was done in the Mishkan. But the other Mandolar learns that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yosi ben Lakunya says that we have an independent limud from the number of times that it says malacha, or a derivative, or certain derivatives of malacha in the Torah. By Rav Yosef, where you're saying you're learning it from the number of times when it says malach in the Torah, you have the Shela, it says by Yosef, says malach. So it says that Yosef came to the house of Potiphar, lasis malach miminyanu oiloi. Is that included in the number? Is that part of the minyan or not? Amalei Abaya, what's the Shela? Velesi Sefer Torah, bring out a Sefer Torah and count. Count the number of malachtos, and therefore, by the time it says malachtai, and is this included or not? Milay Omar Rabba Barbachanam Rav Yochanan. Don't we have a precedent in that? It says Leizhozamisham Acheviu Sefer Torah Monum, that they brought out a Sefer Torah and they counted. Rashi says not perfectly clear which case it's referring to. It possibly is referring to the case in Kedushin where they counted the Vav, the Oisios. But here we're talking about counting words. But I'll go upon him, just bring out a Sefer Torah and count it. No. His shaila is, he has a shaila as follows. Mishum d'chsiv v'malocha ha'yisadayim miminyanahu. Do we say that by the Mishkan when it says v'malocha ha'yisadayim that it was enough, they had enough? Is that part of the minyan? Is that considered a malocha? When it says v'malocha ha'yisadayim, does it mean? Is the title of the pasuk that the work was completed, and therefore that's part of the minyan, because the malacha in that context means avodah, and therefore the pasuk by Yosef is not in the minyan, and therefore we would learn by Yosef when it says malacha, it doesn't mean the work. It means that he came in. Lasles malachta, it meant to be his personal, something that he wanted to do on a personal basis, meaning with Eshes Potiphar. Is that the pshat? So is the malacha that it says by the Mishkan v'malacha ha'yisadayim, does that mean literally the work was completed and therefore the pasuk by Yosef doesn't mean work? Or maybe the pasuk by Yosef means malacha, means it came to do his work. It means malacha. And the pasuk v'malach ha'yisadayim, what does it mean there? It means the shalom le'avidite. It means that the collection doesn't mean malacha mamish. It means the shalom le'avidite. The collection was enough. They collected enough money that the nedovos that they had for the Mishkan was sufficient, and that's the pshat in the pasuk. Teiko, it's a teiko. Tanya keman domer keneged avodas on Mishkan. It's Tanya, like the one Damar says, that it corresponds to the malachas that they did for the building of the Mishkan. The Tanya in Chayovin el al malacha shekiyotza ha'isa b'Mishkan. They're only chayiv on for those things that were similarly in the Mishkan. Haim zoro, they planted, so they needed some money. They needed dyes to dye the walls, the skins. Haim zoro v'atem loit Israel, and therefore you don't plant. Haim kasu, they harvested v'atem loit tiksru, and therefore for you it's also to be kaitzer. Haim helu as a krashim mikarkal agom. They used to transport the agom. They dismantled the Mishkan. They transported the boards on wagons. Haim helu as a krashim mikarkal agola. The wagons were considered a rishus hayachid. The ground was a rishus harabim, and that's where they traveled. So they picked up the boards from the ground to the agol. Similarly, it's also for you to take from the Rishus Harabim to bring it into Rishus Hayachid. They took the krashim from the agola, from the Rishus Hayachid to the ground, and you cannot be mitzi from Rishus Hayachid to Rishus Harabim. They used to transport from one wagon to the next. They passed it from one wagon to the next. Therefore, you cannot transport from one Rishus Hayachid to another. One wagon is a Rishus Hayachid, the other one is a Rishus Hayachid. You cannot transport from one to the other. To get more what's the problem? Midaraisa, certainly from a Rishus Hayachid to Rishus Hayachid, what's the problem? What it means is Rishus Hayachid, Rishus Hayachid, derech Rishus Harabim. The space between the wagons was a Rishus Harabim. So therefore, they transported from one board from one wagon, Rishus Hayachid, to another wagon, but there was the road in the middle, the road in between. you cannot transport from a Rishus Yachid to another Rishus Yachid. Derech, where it goes through, it passes through a Rishus Harabim between them. The Mishnah said, Dr. Mishnah, Begizet Semer of Ein Metaltalem, that you can be taimen with the Gizet Semer, with the flockings of the sheep, but they're muksa Ein Metaltal. Omar Rava says, it's only muksa so long as they were not used already to insulate for hatmona. However, aval taman behem, if they were used once already for hatmona, metaltal, it loses their muksa designation. It's already being used for this purpose of atmon, it's not muksa. Normally they would be considered to be muksa because they're used for processing. He's going to use it for the processing of materials. But now that it's already been used for atmona, then already it's not muksa. It says, the Mishnah said that you can be taimen and slaving, but they're muksa. What does he do? If they've been insulated, he takes the handle of the pot and he removes it, and they fall on their own. So you see, in the case of the Mishnah, they're already used for hatmona, yet they remain muksa. They're still muksa. He has to remove it by taking the handle of the pot, but he cannot remove the gizet semer themselves. Rather, what Rava meant to say was, it's not just one-time usage that takes it out of the category of muksa. It's a designation. Rava said, Lo Yishano, that it's muksa elish lo yachtan latmana, when he did not designate for atmana. Aval yachtan latmana, if he designated that it should be permanently used for atmana, that takes it out of its muksa designation. It's not going to be used for processing. It's not going to be used for a malacha. And metaltalin oisan itmar namiki, also Rabban Amar Yaakov Amar Avasi ben Shol Amar Rebbe lo yishon lo yachtan latmana. It's only muksa. That's only when it wasn't designated for yachtan latmana metaltalin oisan. Then it's muter. Ravina Omer. He says a different shot. Mishal haptik shan. He said that the Mishnah, we see from the Mishnah that it is muksa, that even if it was already used for hatmon, it says is still muksa. That's only where it's a type of the item that was put in a warehouse, that was already put in his warehouse, meaning that type of item that was in the warehouse, that is going to be used for malacha. Even if he took it out and he used it for hatmana, it still remains muksa, because it's already been designated for use for malacha. It was in his warehouse. That's where the Mishnah said that even if it was used for hatmana, it remains muksa. That's b'shal haptik shan. But if it's not shel haptik, then it was not put in the warehouse, then Rava says even a one-time usage, even if it wasn't yachdan, if it wasn't designated, it loses its muksa status. It's not muksa anymore. So according to this pshat, the way the Ritva learns, that Rava's then, when he says lo yishanu, that's a mistake. It's not referring to the Mishnah. He's saying stamadin, not referring to the case of the Mishnah. The Mishnah is talking about heptik, and therefore it remains muksa. Rava said aside din, if it's not shel heptik, if it wasn't in the warehouse, a one-time usage makes it ois muksa. The way Taisus is learning is no. He says it is going to on the Mishnah. It says lo yishanu. He's referring to the Mishnah. The Reisha is talking about where it's heptic or loy heptic. So therefore it's muksa. Now the Sefer that says noitel a kisuv hein noiflos, that even if it was used it's muksa, that's referring to the case of heptic. So Rava was going on the Reisha that says it's talk even it wasn't shel heptic. When it's not shel heptic, once he used it already, it's not muksa. Tanya namahachi. Gizit semer shel heptik ein metalin oisan being hiskinon balabais lishtamish be'em metalin oisan. If it's a heptik, they're muksa. But if he was misakin it for usage, then if he's misakin it for usage, then it loses its muksa status. But that he has to be misakin it, and he has to designate it for his personal use. But otherwise, even a one-time use, it would remain and it would be muksa.